We are live. Hello, everybody. I'm here with my great Natalie. How are you today, Natalie?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome. I just did a video shoot, so I have random people in and out of my apartment, but
Beautiful.
The day's just getting started, my man.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, so yeah, just a little bit of background. Awesome. Yeah, I'm worried my audio is not great, but we'll just keep moving, and then eventually I'll shut up and turn the screen over to you. But yeah, just a background on, yeah, awesome, Natalie and I. So yeah, we started working together, man, I think like 6 to 9 months ago. You jumped into the accelerator and you kind of took some of the systems and strategies that we teach in the program and you improved them even more effective, which has been really great to see. Specifically how to book calls and generate leads on LinkedIn. So I'm really excited to share, the system and the methods that you've sort of developed since you've joined. But yeah, I guess could you just tell us a little bit about the experience so far, being in the membership, working with the other awesome people inside? I mean, how's that been for you the last few months or so?
Yeah, it's been epic, man. I mean, I've had an accountability partner, Dylan. Dylan has turned into really more of a business partner. I actually hired Dylan to run my own ads because he's an advertising guru. We've teamed up on working on clients together, and we're both growing our businesses together. And so that has been huge because the community and the tribe part of this, I can get on an accountability call with Dylan and just be real about how I'm feeling and what I'm struggling with. And he can do the same with me, and we can really help each other. So I think number one, that's been great. Number two, a very close second though, is the automated outbound information that I got in the program. And I really didn't know much about virtual assistants. I didn't know that automated outbound could be so effective. I thought LinkedIn messages were just something that you sent to spam people. And I used to get them all the time, but I didn't understand how to leverage storytelling and really creating your own blue ocean and niching down and understanding who your audience is. All of that comes into play with automated outbound. And once you do it really well, you can be successful. So in the last 6 months, I've been able to build, over $200,000 to $300,000 of sales in a pipeline. I typically have longer sales cycles. I just got off the phone with a client about a $50,000 website, and it was a LinkedIn lead, and we're pitching that in October, and that's a big lead for me. And last night, I just got a verbal from a company that, I just met 48 hours ago on LinkedIn, and they need a brand new website, and it's a 10K project. So things are really rolling, and my agency has been able to scale and grow through this process.
Man, I love that. So yeah, thank you so much for, sharing. And I'm really excited to reveal, your process and how you've been able to achieve those awesome results. So yeah, I'm really excited. And for those of you guys listening, Natalie's a member of the Accelerator and also the Thrive OS membership, which we're going to launch at the end of the month. That's where she has her accountability partner, Dylan. And I'm really excited to bring that to our audience. And so I'll drop a link to the waitlist that you guys can check out. But for today, I want to focus on you, Natalie, and your expertise and experience with how do you book calls on LinkedIn with qualified leads. And not only that, but how do you remove yourself from that process using virtual assistants so that you're consistently filling up your calendar, filling up your pipeline, filling up your bank account with leads and deals and clients. So I'm really excited to dive into that. So yeah, Natalie, I mean, really quick, for anybody listening that's like, this won't work for me, this doesn't work, I'm just going to be another one of those jokers that I hate on LinkedIn. What do you say to those people? And what do you say to people that are not sure if this is going to work?
Well, two things. One, if you really believe in your product and your service and that you can change people's lives with what you do, then there should be no reason why you wouldn't want to spam it out to the entire world and tell them in any way. And so I am that confident about my services and deliverables that I know I can change a company's marketing and branding and ultimately, help them grow their bottom line. So it would be a shame for me to not reach out. So that's the first piece, that I think it's a mindset shift. The second piece that I'll say is, and Dylan and I had a really candid conversation about this morning, sales is like dating. And when you're desperate, no one wants you. So unless you've got a predictable sales funnel, you're going to always be really desperate with the leads that you do have, to close them or to get them to you. And you don't want to be in desperation, because when you're desperate, you can't negotiate. So when you set up automated outbound, you've got leads coming in every week, you start treating all of them equally and you respect your time more, and that makes them respect you more, and you can negotiate for the cost and the price that you want because you have more leads to pull from. So it just puts you at a higher advantage as far as building your business.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I just also want to acknowledge you and everything that you've done, because I know when we first got together a few months ago, you had just gone through a breakup with your business partners, which can be very nerve-wracking at times. But I think you've become way stronger because of it. And so I just want to give you a shout out and show some love, and say I'm proud of all the amazing work you've done. And so with that, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you take over, and you have a presentation prepared for everybody listening. And I also just want to say, for those of you guys listening, Natalie is great, as you'll learn. And if any of you guys want to connect with her, get any support, hire her for coaching or audits of your LinkedIn, anything like that, I'm going to drop a link to her socials, and you guys can jump in and have a chat to her, and just mention that you found her through Different Hunger and that you're ready to grow. So with that, Natalie, do you want to pull up the presentation, and I'll set up the screen share so we're all good to go?
Yep, I'm ready to go. I think I just need to share my screen and I'm good to go. So
all right. I'm going to remove myself, and then okay, Natalie, I think, can you hit the screen share option?
I hit share screen, and it is not quite popping up yet. Let's see. Sorry. Well,
No worries.
this will work. Preview. Can you see my screen now?
No, but let's see.
Okay, it's giving me an Apple preference thing that I have to change, so I'm going to try that real quick, Matt. Let's see.
Okay.
Privacy. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Yeah, let's see here.
See screen recording. So I'm clicking around here. So while we're kind of getting set up, I would encourage anyone right now who's thinking about how do I make automated outbound successful to just take a look at your LinkedIn profile and maybe make a list of all of the points or places on your LinkedIn where it doesn't make sense what you do. So that includes your cover photo, your profile picture, your about section, and all of the examples of work that may not be on your profile. I think that's a really great starting point, Matt, and something that I kind of wanted to touch on today. So while you're waiting, just pull up your LinkedIn profile and take a look at it and think, what would I need to do to make this an incredible profile that would actually draw leads in and not scare people away? And I'm almost at the point where I've got this set up.
Sweet.
Let's see. So I gave everyone some homework while we get this figured out.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, and while you're listening, if you have any questions for Natalie, just drop them in the chat, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. And Natalie's happy to spend a few minutes answering those. Take a few minutes out of all of her sales calls that she books through LinkedIn to share this with us. So thank you, Natalie. All right, so she disappeared. Sorted out. Let's see. All right, so she will be back on. She's just setting up some of the technical, the screen sharing. I'm not sure why it's not working. It's usually fine, but that's how it is sometimes. So yeah, guys, go ahead, drop a comment if you want. Drop your LinkedIn profiles, and we can do a little bit of an audit as well, and give you some live coaching and some live support on how to make sure this is, your profile is set up to get leads and get people excited to chat with you. All right. All right. All right. So let's see here. All right. We are sorting this out. Thank you guys for the patience here. You know how this stuff can be sometimes. So let's see. All right. So you guys let us know if you're listening live, replay, where you're tuning in from. Let us know what kind of business you have, what you're selling. And like I said, happy to do a little bit of an audit on your guys' pros for LinkedIn towards the end of the call. So just let us know here, and we will be ready to kick this off in just a minute, and we can get that moving. All right. Awesome. All right. So Natalie should be on any minute, and we should be good to go. Just some suspense. Got to keep it interesting for you guys, right? That's just how it is. All right. Let's see here. All right. All right. So I'm going to pull this up. Okay. We have the presentation. So let's dive into that. I'm going to share my screen since Natalie's is not quite working, unfortunately, but we're all good. So let's see here. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So here we are. All right. So here is the presentation. I will wait a minute for Natalie to jump on. All right. Here she is. All right, Natalie.
Are we having fun yet, Matt?
Oh, we got to keep things interesting for these people. They're too used to things going smoothly on Facebook groups. That's why we got to mix it up, right?
All right, gang. I'm gonna make it worth your time. So sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes. Awesome. All right, Natalie. So you can go ahead and narrate. I'll just be your
my guide.
I'll be your clicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how to automate your lead generation on LinkedIn and triple your revenue. So that is the end goal, right? You want to grow your bottom line. You want to take home more money every month, and you don't want to have to stress about when leads are coming in the door or cold calling or trying to search for leads. So I'm going to break down today the process on how to actually automate your lead generation on LinkedIn using virtual assistants. It used to be that we used Alfred, but right now virtual assistants are great. They can chat with people, they can keep it conversational, and they can lead them right to you. So Matt, go ahead and click next. So we're going to start with kind of outlining the process. So first step is creating a buyer persona and a deliverable. So if you're thinking, Natalie, I have got 5 different niches and 5 different buyers, and you don't want to slim it down, but you want to get AOB started, you're probably going to need to do is create a buyer persona and a specific deliverable for that audience for each campaign. So think of this as almost like a Facebook campaign. This is an advertising campaign through LinkedIn, right? So if your buyer persona is construction companies and the deliverable you'd like to sell them is web design and updated branding, a rebrand, if we could call that just a total package, then you want to get to know their pain points. You want to interview people that you've worked with in that field, and you want to figure out what they're going to sleep at night thinking about or worrying about as it relates to their business, and talk about that. So that's step 1. After you've interviewed your customers, you put together this buyer persona and deliverable, the offer is clear. You're going to want to develop your scripts and a funnel. The way that I like to do this is I develop 2 to 3 different sets of scripts for each audience. So script and funnel, super important. Then you're going to hire a virtual assistant through online jobs, start to train them, and then you're going to optimize the campaigns and A/B test which scripts are working best and which audiences are responding well on LinkedIn, because there might be an audience that you figure out they're just not there, but there is an audience that is there. So you're able to really A/B test these campaigns and figure out what works for you. So moving forward, Matt, I'll let you click or slide. We're going to go ahead and just talk through how you define your target audience. So obviously, interviewing your customers that you work with now is great. And if you're in the program and you haven't quite figured out what your target audience is or who your target audience is, what I'm going to recommend is that you really look at it from a psychographic. So maybe if it's not industries that you like working in, what's the mindset of the client that you enjoy working with the most? Is it the fact that they don't micromanage you and they typically just want to approve designs and have you be the expert? Or is it that you offer a super collaborative experience that they get to be a part of? Your target audience doesn't necessarily have to be just demographics. You are going to have to narrow it down on LinkedIn through Search Navigator and figure out what they call themselves. But take a look at the clients that you have and really do a deep dive on who you want more of and what that offer would need to be. Also, you're going to want to put together a list of examples of work. So if you're going for lighting and you have done websites in furniture or websites on retail, and you're going to try and target lighting, those would be really strong examples to show them. You know, you'd want to show them examples of a furniture website you've done, probably not something you did for automotive, because lighting and automotive are so different. So you're going to want to make a list of those examples of work that you know are going to resonate with your target audience. That's step 1. Matt? All right, here's an example of a buyer persona, a very light one. Let's say your target audience is blue-collar construction owners, and the specific deliverable that you know they need is a template website. What is the ROI that they can see? And that is probably the most important piece of building these buyer personas, of 5 to 10% in sales increase a year. So you know that when you send a message offering them more money, I can make you more money, they're most likely going to respond to that. After you've developed your audience, you are going to write your scripts. You want to keep messages short and succinct. I call this brilliant brevity. Create a set of scripts, 1 to 2 for each niche. And what you need to remember is that your virtual assistant is going to follow up 3, 4, 5 times. So these aren't scripts that are just messages of 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Your messages should range between 6 to 7 in total. That should be one set, or your entire script set should be a set of 6 to 7 messages. Most people do not answer your message until you get to message 4 or 5. And then they apologize and say, I'm so sorry I ignored you. I'm actually interested in your offer. And as marketers, we know that we get bombarded with over 5,000 ads a day. It takes somebody 6, 7, 8 times to hear something and have it actually stick. So if you believe in your product or service, you're not bothering them. You're just being tenacious and staying in front of them. And those scripts should be set up to follow up 2 to 3 days in between so that they're consistently hearing about your service and your product. Matt? Matt's having a lot of fun having to keep up with this role. All right, so here is what you need. And we'll just go ahead and go to that next slide that says tools. You need Sales Navigator. That's $79 a month. So you're going to need to have Sales Navigator so you can search and pull the right lead lists. You're going to need to hire a virtual assistant for this. onlinejobs.ph.com. My little affiliate link is right in there if you want to give me some love for this presentation. You're going to end up spending $69 for a month. You can delete it after that, and you're going to find your first lead generation virtual assistant. Your Google plugins. So you're going to need a Google plugin, and I can actually look up the name of the specific plugin that I use after this presentation. So if you want that, shoot me a line. But Google plugins will allow you to automate message 1 and 2, which your virtual assistant will end up doing, so that they're just spending time doing the follow-up on 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and chatting in between. So if you're looking at what's a budget, $79 a month, $69 for 1 month, that's your cost. The Google plugins are free. So after we've done the buyer persona work, we've written the scripts, now we've got the tools, we are going to look for a data-oriented virtual assistant. That is what's next. So Matt, you can keep scrolling. We got to find somebody who is great with the metrics. This person is going to be a little different than your creator of content, who's more design-oriented. It's going to be different than someone who may actually just be doing your finances. It's going to be somebody who really is understanding of how to track, the messages and the scripts, and has a very detail-oriented brain. They're going to have experience doing LinkedIn lead generation, and they're going to be able to show you how to track success. So the person that I look for, I'm always asking them when I post these job posts, how much experience do you have on LinkedIn? I want at least 6 months to a year. How are we going to track success? And what I want to see from them is a Google Doc or a piece of software that they're going to use to tell me connection was sent to this person and then the second message was sent this and the third message was sent 2 days after that. I want to see how they're going to track that. I also look for somebody who might even have experience updating a CRM, which most virtual assistants do, because you can tie your CRM to this and have them actually putting in the leads from LinkedIn so that it's in your CRM and you know exactly how to follow up outside of LinkedIn if that follow-up is needed. So this VA is probably going to be a little, I don't know if I can use this word, but a little nerdier. They're going to have a different brain. They might be somebody who is asking a lot of questions about conversions and what the average client is worth. They are invested in the numbers. And a great way to incentivize them is to offer them a 2 to 3% commission on top of their $3 or $4 or $5 hourly rate so that they actually feel like they're invested in your success. So that person you're going to look for on online jobs. Matt? All right, training your virtual assistant. If I had to say what a number 1 mistake is when people do this, it's probably not training a VA. I understand you get them on and you get excited and you just want to get them started, excuse me. But you really need to onboard them and educate them with tons of resources. Resources being, for me, walking them through my website, walking them through on a call what I do, and allowing them to see my proposals and what some of my sales process looks like. I have a referral deck that actually highlights the types of customers that we want, the revenue that customer would have, a $10 to $13 million company, the industry, construction, lighting, and furniture, and the type of customers as far as psychographic. Don't just make all of this stuff and then not give it to your VA. You've got to really empower them with all of the resources and train them as if they were coming in to do sales for you right next door. Add each other on WhatsApp. So add them on WhatsApp. That's the international texting number that if you're part of the group, we do through Different Hunger. We talk in like our entire program has a thread on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is great for your virtual assistant because if there's a lead that's hot and says, I got 15 minutes right now, if you want to talk to me about my website, my VA can text me and I can pick up the phone and call that person now so that I get that lead. And that does happen sometimes. You're also going to want to create an FAQ sheet. Frequently asked questions. So what questions do you need to have answers for prepared so that your virtual assistant doesn't get caught with her pants down? They are doing this on your LinkedIn profile. So I'm going to repeat that. Not your company page, your page. That's why I had you guys take a look at your profile and decide if that's something you need to shift or change. So the FAQ sheet should be the questions that people are most commonly asking you. How long have you been in Arizona? What does your company do? What do you think my website actually needs? You need to prepare them for how to answer those questions and then add them on WhatsApp. And every time they don't know an answer, you can keep updating that FAQ sheet And if there's something only you can answer, they can let you know. So train your virtual assistant. That's the recap of that. Make sure that you train them and train them well. Matt? Optimizing campaigns. So I think 4 to 5 niche campaigns that are directed at 4 to 5 different audiences is great. A/B testing for 30 days is recommended. So make 2 sets of scripts for each of those audiences, for each of those campaigns, and then A/B test which script is getting you more opens, more responses, more calls booked, and go in that direction, just like you would in Facebook ads. And then have a monthly call with your virtual assistant and discuss what's working, what's not working. I found out after the first 2 weeks of doing this that I wasn't pulling the right leads. He wasn't pulling the right leads through Sales Navigator because I didn't give June the right titles of the person I was looking for. You've got to give them the right title. What is your, back to buyer persona, what does your person call themselves? If they call themselves a marketing director, he needs to be pulling leads that are marketing directors. So having that monthly call with them will just allow you guys to continue to stay on track and understand that you really are making the campaigns work for you. Matt? Awesome. Some hacks and tips. So creating a scorecard for success is huge. So what a scorecard is in your Google spreadsheet, you can set up a checklist of things that you would like them to do each week, how many connections you want them to make, how many messages sent, hopefully, it's possible how many calls were booked. And you want them to submit that scorecard bi-weekly or each week, depending on your workflow. So you can see, what am I paying them to do? I don't believe in micromanaging VAs. I have them track time in a Google Doc, but I really just go by that scorecard. Are we hitting the metrics that we set forth as meaning success for both of us? Is it a win? Does the scorecard show what success looks like? Also, I want you to give your VA access to your calendar so they can schedule meetings for you. Now, Matt and I have talked about this, and I know that a lot of you might be doing like Calendly, like you send them your Calendly meeting link. But there are a lot of times when someone doesn't respond to my Calendly link, and I still need them to book the meeting, and they just never will because they're super busy. The big dogs, you gotta like send them an invite. You gotta make that call 10 to 15 minutes. I don't suggest you ask for a 30-minute phone call on a LinkedIn message. You can build a qualifying question in your scripts that might help you decide whether a call is necessary. But if you are going to try and get to a call just to find out if they meet your qualifications as a client, or if they'd be a good fit, give your VA access to your calendar so they can schedule those meetings for you. And then have your VA, I kind of mentioned this earlier, pull a list of those targeted leads. So give them the titles they should be looking for through Sales Navigator. You know what your target audience calls themselves. Your VA does not, and you want them to be set up for success there. So those are some hacks and tips for success. Matt? Okay, some traps. Things that I see people doing that sometimes can get you off kilter a little bit. So first is your VA should only be automating messages 1 and 2 and manually sending messages after that. Most often, they're gonna answer after message 4, and your VA, you're gonna need to have chat scripts ready for them, and you can just map that out in a Google Doc as far as these are the most frequently asked questions, and this is how we chat with people and get them to a call. You're gonna wanna make sure you give them feedback on their use of the idioms and chats. So, kind of funny story, my VA was trying to use an American idiom, and he said something like, you probably talk a lot, you're probably not a big talker, but you do a lot of action, to an older gentleman on LinkedIn. And that was not taken exactly the way that he had hoped. I know that my VA had gotten comfortable and he thought he understood what that meant, but it kind of insinuated something sexual, which you don't want to happen to you. So make sure that if you see them say something that's incorrect, you give them feedback right away. It's probably gonna happen, so you're gonna need to get comfortable with the fact that it's not going to be perfect, but definitely give them that feedback and let them know. And don't forget to stop the lead gen during times of conflict. So here's what this means. And everyone has a different take on this, but when the pandemic started, the first 3 weeks, everyone in America was panicking. And the feeling was definitely that maybe this will go away and we all just need to get through it and pause. Now we're at the point, and we've been at this point for 2 months now, where we're all kind of just moving on through life and deciding to keep going, even though there is a pandemic. But when something big in the world happens, a huge terrorist attack, the Black Lives Matter protests start up and people are getting killed, You need to be very sensitive to that. And you need to understand that sending messages asking for a call when we just found out we're going through a global pandemic and people don't even know if they're going to have jobs in a week, that is just not the right timing. So stop the lead gen if you ever have doubt, and then push it back on when you feel like things have calmed down a bit. Matt? That's it. What questions do you guys have? You can drop them in the chat, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Natalie. That was awesome. We have a question here from YouTube.
Like the idea of finding, okay, yeah, I'll read it. Like the idea of finding prospects that are on the same page when it comes to mindset and so on, instead of niching down using the industry. Question is how to do that. Yeah, that is hard because you're not necessarily going to find that during Sales Navigator, are you? So the first piece is think about, as far as mindset goes, how can you actually create a chat with the virtual assistant doing the talking that's going to tease out what they're like, you know? So instead of always saying, and I know it's hard to make the ask, but instead of saying, are you open to connecting and I can learn more about you? Weak call to action. You could say, are you open to connecting to get to the call? Are you open to connecting so I can share how we can save you, how we can make you drive your revenue through your website? You can see in their answer if they are not open by the way that they talk. You can direct your virtual assistant to not set that call if it feels like they are going to be a problem child. You might have to determine what that looks like after doing these messages for a while, but that would be the best piece of advice, is understand 5-10 minute call. That's a great way to qualify somebody. And if you do happen to get on that call because in the chat, the virtual assistant still thinks it's a good lead and that person's not kind, or you can tell that they're looking for the cheapest option, the best way to do that is to just say, thanks so much for the time, and sounds like it may not be a fit for us, but I'll keep you in mind if I know another agency that would work with you. So not super easy in terms of sales nav, but if you do think about the industries that have the best mindset, that can also help. I know construction people are so fun to work with. They're like down to earth, they're funny, they have a great sense of humor, and they don't take things too seriously. So I've continued to target that audience, knowing that the mindset shift as an industry is totally different than the mindset of accountants, which I've never really had a lot of fun doing. Hope that helps, Filippo Malvezi. I like your name.
Right? Regine says, woohoo. Oh, yeah.
Regine.
Yeah, Regine's the best.
My web design gal that Matt introduced me to, and we've been doing some awesome work together, and she is incredible. So
yes. Also, Thrive OS founding member in the house, Regine, which is awesome. Yeah, so awesome, Natalie. You shared a lot. Filippo says thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Filippo. Awesome. And so Natalie, I know something that a lot of people struggle with is transitioning from, a reply or a message or a conversation to booking a call, right? So could you shed some light on how you do, how you navigate that process, and then how you have your VA go through that process a little bit?
Yeah, so, the reason why I have a call with my VA every month is so we can kind of take a temperature. What's going on in the world? How would we shift our messaging so that we're talking to the lead about things that are relevant to them? So right now, the questions that my VA is asking, so somebody might respond in the chat and say, yeah, Nat, thanks for connecting. Interested to learn more about what you do. It'd be easy to just take that as, okay, we'll just stay connected on LinkedIn. I'm not going to bother you. But what I know that my VA needs to be asking is, how has the pandemic affected you? And then listening to their response, following up with, a lot of people are going digital right now. I'm sure that's top of mind for you. I'd love to hop on a call and talk about what we've done during the pandemic to help businesses like yours. So it's adjusting the messaging to what's going on every single month. In September, you know that you're probably going to be able to talk to companies about, if companies are focused on, let's say retailers are focused on selling products to kids who are going back to school, you could be talking to, companies on LinkedIn, CMOs of places like Walmart about, how are you thinking about your back to school campaigns? Is that something you're open to working with an agency on? So it's, first of all, making it really topic oriented about what's going on. And second of all, understanding that you might have to ask a couple of more lead-in questions like, hey, I took a look at your website. Tell me more about what you do. Interesting. Do you have a marketing team that you work with? How long have you been there? No, we don't have a marketing team. Okay, well, I'm interested to learn more about what you do and maybe we can help. Who would be the right point of contact to talk about marketing? And then they're willing to help you because you've given a little bit of either value or conversation. So does that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think a lot of people just, you know, like what you were saying before, sales is kind of like dating, and they just try to rush and get married on the first message. And so I really like your approach that you just talked about, where it's just be human, right? Just have a conversation, ask questions, don't be salesy, build somewhat of a rapport and relationship. And then only when you have the critical data or qualification information, that's when you would progress to the call.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really critical. Cause like, again, you don't want to jump right in and go to a call because you don't even know if that person's a fit, right? Like you might be wasting your own time and you might be thinking, you know, like you're too focused on the sale that you're not even really respecting your own time, right? And so that's why having a system like this that consistently generates leads, consistently books calls is critical, to get you out of that like scarcity mode of just, I need a call, you know?
Totally, 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. And go ahead.
Oh, I just said, any other questions?
Yeah, guys, if you're listening, any other questions, please go ahead, drop below. Natalie, that has been awesome. Thank you for sharing all this information. We'll see if anyone else has a few questions. I just dropped your Facebook and LinkedIn profiles. So if anybody listening wants to connect with you, maybe they want support, maybe they want coaching, or they want to get an audit, or they want help in their LinkedIn, guys, get in touch with Natalie. Obviously, she knows what she's doing. She's adding like 1 new client a month, 2 new clients a month about, just from LinkedIn. So
3 now, yeah, like 3 clients a month from LinkedIn. So yeah, it's been great.
Not too bad, huh?
Not too bad. So
yeah, well, that's great. That's awesome. So yeah, guys, drop your questions. Don't be shy. You know, Natalie's taking time out of all of her sales calls to jump, so
all
take advantage, right?
coming in.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
kind of integral to this that I will kind of discuss, and a framework that everyone can check out is the Story Brand Framework. Has really helped me, by Donald Miller. And I went to their 2-day marketing workshop Monday and Tuesday through their live stream, and I paid to go. And a lot of their resources are free, but they talk about how you really need to create scripts and email campaigns when you're trying to get leads that tell a story about one single concept and have it resonate all the way through, and making your customer the hero of the story. So a lot of people start off a message by saying, hi, I'm blah, 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 and I'm blah, blah, blah. And that instantly turns me off. Like, you've got to say, hi, you know, I noticed your company does this, and here's how I can help you. So start with serving them instead of trying to tell them about you, because that just turns people off instantly. And I have a lot of people tell me that I get on calls with. I just had a call with an anti-ballistic company that sells anti-ballistic, like basically chalkboards that can deflect bullets for school shootings. And I mean, it's crazy, but it's kind of crazy what they sell. But I had a call with them on Thursday, or this past Monday, actually. And what he said to me is, I never take these phone calls, but you felt so easy to talk to, and you genuinely cared about about me. And that's because my VA knew to ask more questions and to dig a little deeper and to find out what this person was into before we try and sell them in the chat.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love that. That's great. And yeah, could you just maybe share at like a high level, or share an example of how to integrate a story into your marketing to generate leads?
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to determine what is the problem that your customer is facing and always lead with that. So it's called Story Brand Framework. If you Google this is a free resource. It always starts with a character, like a movie, a character's problem. So a character's problem for me with construction companies would be that they know that they need a new website, but they don't know how to do that, and they don't want to make time for it. They don't want to have to worry about it. They just want to be able to work with a company that takes care of it all because they don't like digital. That's not something that they really care about. So, it's starting with the emotions of that problem. So how does that make them feel? Overwhelmed, confused, and frustrated. So in my messages, I'm saying, I know that trying to find a new website partner can make you feel overwhelmed and confused because you're not really a digital expert. And then I talk about, but I am. And I'd love to help you. That's an easy way to show empathy and to come from a place of service. So in a longer campaign, what you really do is expand on, and I actually have my little story band framework in front of me. You really expand on giving them empathy and authority and giving them a plan. So the way that you do that is, let's say you were doing an email campaign, and I do tie automated emails to my LinkedIn outbound generation, Matt. I've started doing that, which we just started a couple weeks ago. So in the emails, you would want to tell them, empathize. I get that you don't really enjoy working in digital, but I've done 65 websites this year and it's my passion. Now you've got authority. So you combine those two and then you give them a really easy plan. I'd love to talk with you on the phone and learn about your problems. We can submit a user experience audit of your website. We'll build a website that's going to make you more money. There's no confusion in the 3 steps to get them to success. And then you need a direct call to action. Book a call with me now and let's talk. So if you look at all of that, starts with a character who has a problem, empathy, and understanding that problem and how it makes them feel, showing them empathy and authority, outlining a 3-step plan to solve that problem, and then bringing it full circle with a direct call to action and not being shy about asking for the business. That is the way that in your email campaigns, in your automation scripts, you're going to build really strong relationships with people because it's all about them being the hero of the story and us being the guide helping them get to success. Does that help, Matt?
Oh, yes, totally. That's great. Yeah, very clear. Just start with their problem and work back from there towards your solution. And, be empathetic. Don't rush to a sale. And, get to know them and solve their problems. That's awesome. So we had one question. How do you decide on content for LinkedIn?
Yeah, so
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really great question, Jay. So I post on LinkedIn 4 to 5 times a week. And the way that I decide about content is how it's going to bring value to my audience. So I know that I'm talking in general to construction owners and e-commerce owners because those are the 2 audiences we're targeting. So I'm talking about, I post my TikToks where I bring value on how to use social media to grow your sales online. And I post authoritative content where I'm at workshops learning and I'm talking about take-homes from what I'm learning. I also post content that shows authoritative credibility. I'm speaking at this event. I'm meeting with this person, or this is a client of mine that's had success. So I'm either bringing value or bringing credibility. And it's usually got to fit into one of those 2 buckets. And occasionally I'll throw in some entertaining content to show the human, authentic, vulnerable Nat. And the human, authentic, vulnerable content is really what does the best and connects people to me more than anything. And sometimes that means honestly having tension. So you got to have tension in your content. If you want to be a thought leader, you got to actually put something out that is worth people thinking about, right? So the post I put on Monday to my community in Lincoln was about how even though we have to wear masks, we can still do it with joy. we can still show up for our businesses and ourselves and stop worrying about fighting with people on social media and start worrying about what matters. And I put out, and it's sad that I even have to say that, I mean, to be completely honest, but it resonated with a lot of people. It got a lot of engagement. It got me a lot of messages. And, you know, people really felt like, thank you for saying that and for showing us what you stand for. And people don't buy how you do something. They buy why you do something. And so, yeah, so a content strategy for LinkedIn, it's definitely something I can help with if you have more questions on. But you really want to mix in that empathy and authority and a lot of high value content that is teaching people about things they didn't know related to marketing and branding that you do, but showing them how to do it, because they're never going to do it. They're just going to hire you because they know you're an expert. Yeah.
Totally. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's huge, right? So focus on building authority, building connection, and adding value. I think those are kind of like the 3 buckets that you mentioned when it comes to content on LinkedIn. So yeah, and you know, I think it's really important to have content as well as messages going out, because it just creates a more holistic experience. You know, if people see you in their inbox, they see you in their feeds, maybe they're getting emails from you, you know, you're just creating more opportunities to bring them into your pipeline and into your funnel and into your client list, right? So that's awesome. And, you know, doing it in an authentic way. So beautiful. Well, thank you, Natalie, for sharing all of this. I mean, you dropped a ton of wisdom. I'm sure people are like, geez, I wish I didn't spend $1,000 on that course or that training or whatever it is to talk about what you just shared. So thanks a lot. And Natalie, can you share how people can connect with you and follow along? And
Yes.
Also, congrats. You guys just won a few awards.
Yeah.
Your agency. So yeah, tell us a little bit how we can connect and learn a bit more about you.
Yes, we just won Best Web Design Award in the Midwest, which press release coming on August. So I was really excited about that. But yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Natalie Micale. I'm a big IG girl. You can follow me on TikTok. That's my, I know, Matt, you probably didn't realize I have 2 Facebook profiles, one from my old reporting days when I tried to have a personal brand, but you can just find me at Natalie Micale on Facebook. Would love to chat with you guys. And I do a lot of content strategy as well for my clients. So if that's something you're interested in helping with, getting help with, reach out. Thanks for having me, Matt.
I think you cut out just a little. Would you mind just?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you mind just saying that one more time?
Yep. Instagram, Natalie Micale, Facebook, Natalie Micale. If you're interested in getting help with content strategy, definitely feel free to reach out to me. That is a big part of what I do at the agency and what I love to do. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Natalie, so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And I hope everybody listening got a ton of value from this. Again, you know, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you have a way to add clients every single month, book calls every single week. So get on it. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll check in with you guys soon with some more training and material. Peace, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.